Some 8-10 minutes. Today is the Yartzeit of one of the legendary Gedolim, who a survivor from Hitler, Yimach Shemai, the Ponovezh, one of the Gedolim Yisrael. His Yartzeit is today. And broken in heart and in spirit, he built for Torah a tremendous monument to Torah, and he, of course, that took more than determination. It took some very, very special personality. He had a magnetic personality, and it took very special skills in public relations and in fundraising, and someone who wanted to enter that field approached him, and he said, he asked Ponovezh, he said, would you mind, I wanted to study under you. He said, would you mind if I went with you on one of your visits? He said, certainly. So before the approached a home, a philanthropist, a Baltzedakah, so-called Baltzedakah, that he was going to approach for the Yeshiva. So he paused, and he took out a sefer, and he was being misfouled, he was praying. So this one who was studying under him asked him, he says, Rabbi, he said, what are you doing exactly? What are you praying? He says, I'm praying that he shouldn't be home. So, in other words, it's fraught fundraising for something that's for very, very, very sacred causes. It's fraught with tremendous pressure and tremendous heartache and tremendous embarrassment. The Ponovezh was a friend of Rosh. He always had great heartache and regrets at what was lost during the war. He used to mention the Medrash brings the nation's Chayil Miyimsa on the pasuk Rabbis, Bonois, also Choyil, Viat Olis al Chulana, that many daughters had done valiantly, and you excelled them all. So there was a debate, vikuach, between Noach and Moshe Rabbeinu. Noach was very proud of himself. He said, look, in a generation that was so corrupt and strayed so far from duty, were so unfaithful, and didn't practice and observe Torah mitzvahs, I was the only one, I and my family were the only ones that were saved. So Moshe Rabbeinu said, yeah, sure. That's when it came. The Almighty said, I'm going to destroy the entire world with a flood. So you pray, you alone were saved, not your generation. He said, when in my generation, in Badegel Azov, when he worshipped the idol, and the Almighty wanted to destroy the entire Jewish nation, I prayed and fasted and prayed, and on my behalf I saved an entire generation. So the Ponovezh used to always say, I was like Noach, unfortunately, I couldn't save anybody, only myself. So the Ponovezh he was one time was visiting in Akron, a very well-known Baltzedakah. So he came in with the local rabbi. He came he had an appointment, came to see the Balabos, philanthropist. So they sat for a while, and took out his checkbook, about the philanthropist, gave him a check for $25 or $50, like that. So the Ponovezh said to him, he said, would you, told the rabbi, he said, walk around, would you mind? He said, I'd like to speak something privately with Mr. So-and-so. So he said, yeah, I don't mind. He said, he left. He said, let me ask you something, Mr. So-and-so. He says, about 20 years ago, the Meir Shapiro, the Lubliner Rav, came to you also with Rabbi so-and-so. And after meeting and talking, you responded by making out a check for 20 years earlier, made out a check for $10. So he said, then the Lubinarov turned to the rabbi and he told him, would you mind? He said, I'd like to speak privately with Mr. So-and-so. Would you mind stepping out so we can speak privately? So he stepped, his request, he complied with his request. The rabbi left, and he said, some 15 minutes later, he said, after meeting privately with Binarov, with this philanthropist, Balzdokir, so they walked out smiling, taking each other around, and he walked out with a check for $10,000. So he said, could you tell me what went on? What did the Binarov speak with you about? So he said, Binarov was he had a chush. He was very sensitive. He sensed something. He sensed that this particular so-called rabbi doesn't command the respect of the community, doesn't command my respect. So he, after the rabbi left, so-called rabbi left, he said to him, I want to tell you something. He says, this rabbi said, I just met him, and he volunteered. He said he'd come with me. He says, I have an idea what he's all about. He says, our yeshiva doesn't produce rabbis like that. He says, we're not a factory for rabbis. It's to produce tremendous, God-fearing, very learned Torah scholars. Some might be rabbis, and many are teachers. But they're not in it just to make a living. They're in there to spread the Almighty's knowledge, Almighty's Torah. Because that's what we're all about. So if you're supporting us, that's what you're going to support. I told him, definitely, that's what I want to support. I want to support that wholeheartedly. So Ponovezh said, last in Ponovezh also, we're doing the same. He said, we're not, he said, this is not the products that we're bringing about in Ponovezh. Anyway, so this is his Yartzeit is today, the Ponovezh, and people are, the summer's coming, a party to a close, and people, it's very emotional, people are coming by to say goodbye. A mishpacha came by, a husband and wife, I think he's maybe 6-8 weeks behind in his salary. He came with 10 children to say goodbye and to ask, I wish them all they should have a good year. And as they were leaving, they all stood by the window and looked in, and they wanted to say goodbye to our children. And he had a big fight with him, took out $100. Where he got the $100 from, I have no idea in the world. But this is somehow the attachment that they feel proud to Smedrish.